In this video, I visit the ADAC Sim Racing Expo 2023 in Dortmund, Germany, and take you through a whistle-stop tour of what was there, and all from an older gamer's perspective. The 2023 version of the Sim Racing Expo has this year moved to Dortmund and, as you would expect, contains all the madness you would expect to see. From stupidly big motion rigs to unexpectedly small rigs hidden inside coffee tables. And many other cool accessories. And of course, cars. Lots of cars. And even the occasional YouTube celebrity. I'll place as many links as I can below. This isn't a detailed look at the products available. I just wanted to give a brief taste of what it was like to be at the ADAC Sim Racing Expo in 2023 for anyone that couldn't go. Motion rigs. If you are interested in motion rigs, there were a lot to choose from, although I think most of them, judging by the prices, were aimed at arcade owners or event managers. Certainly the price of the larger ones were eye-watering. Small units, though, were still not what you might call a bargain price, but at least there were plenty of them to choose from. I tried a number, but found the experience of motion rigs to be largely underwhelming. The ones where your feet moved along with the rest of your body, which of course were the more expensive ones, gave a feeling of total immersion. But the ones where just the body moved to and fro, but your hands and feet stayed in place, gave an odd disjointed feeling, and often when the seat went one way, but the wheel and my pedals stayed in place, it felt like the car was falling apart. Mostly in these rigs, I could feel the gear change, which was like a punch in the kidneys. And of course, there was a feeling of the rear end slipping and kick of the acceleration. But otherwise, for me personally, the motion detracted from my overall racing experience. Perhaps I just need more time in a motion rig to get used to one. If any manufacturer wants to send me a motion rig to change my mind, I'm up for that, because they do look as though they could be enormous amounts of fun. But as it stands now, I'm just not sure they actually add enough immersion to the experience, or would actually increase my lap times, or at least not enough to justify the price. On the other hand, motion rigs for flight sim were actually very cool. I tried this one with the wraparound screen that came with eye tracking and had a full control layout. And that really felt like taking flight sims to a whole new level as I flew around New York. There was sometimes the feeling that again my feet were not moving and the controls and the screen were staying in place while I pivoted around, as being a slight immersion breaker. But I found it to be less of a problem, at least here in flight sims. Possibly this is due to the slower pace of flight simulators. Non-motion rigs. If you didn't fancy a wild and bumpy ride while trying to focus on your lap times, then the show had you covered with an enormous selection of ordinary, static rigs in various sizes and colours. There did seem to be a focus here on realism, or creating an arcade look to the rig, which again made me wonder if they were actually aimed just at arcade owners. Certainly a few of them would look cool in an F1 sim racing arcade, for example. But for the homeowner, there was still also plenty of choice, including this one that was designed, I guess, to work with a console, as when it was not in use, it transformed into a coffee table. Pretty neat if you are trying to hide how much you've spent on your sim racing hobby. Getting in and out of the thing isn't easy if you are like me, of a more advanced age. I think you would probably need to be a bendy teenager or Olga Corbett to get in and out of here without actually injuring yourself. But the idea is neat, if perhaps slightly cumbersome. They did have versions that worked with a standard sofa, and one also better suited for a PC chair. In and around the hall there are also models specifically aimed at children, including one that looked as though it would work for a very small child. These test rigs were populated by kids nearly non-stop throughout the time I was there, and it's great to see a younger generation getting into sim racing. Monitors. Assuming you are not into VR, of which there were only really a disappointing handful of headsets around the hall, then you are going to be more interested in monitors, which came in all sorts of different flavours, from the ordinary to the curved to the ultra wide curved, and of course triples in all sorts of sizes. And if triples are not big enough for you, then go Beamer, with its wraparound view that was, with what it lacked in definition, making up more for in an all-encompassing feeling of really being there. Note the little tent that this unit lived in, presumably to cut down on interference from ambient light. Accessories. For the sim racer who has everything but would like something more, there were plenty of options, from gloves to boots and to caps. Kinda hoping that's not the price. And of course wheels of just about every shape and size. If you need a display for your wheel that shows some information, this show has you covered as well. And if you prefer that display to be mounted off-wheel, there was plenty of choice for that, with just about every kind of display you could think of in just about every price you would prefer not to imagine. And of course some simple quality of life gadgets were also on display, including this bracket that bolts to the back of a rig and holds your PC's speakers. Simple yet effective. Staged events. Once you had your fill of all the excitement of the show and you paid through the nose for some burnt chips and a bottle of fizz, the main stage was the place to go and sit and watch some races. Or you could sit and watch a small car attempting, with limited results, to do a self-driving thing around the track using what looked to be an Xbox Kinect strapped to its roof. Or you could go live your misspent youth at the Scalextric track and chill out in a GT Omega chair with a coffee cup holder. In summary, it's probably not the biggest computer show I have ever attended, but considering that sim racing is essentially a niche computer sport, the whole event was well run, nicely laid out and well attended. Even with the enormous amount of people crowded round, it never really felt overbearing. The Friday probably offered an easier day for trying stuff out, but even on Saturday I was able to jump on and off various rigs and try them out, as long as I didn't mind queuing. In all, it was a blast being there, and although it was a little disappointing that some manufacturers such as Logitech or Thrustmaster chose to stay away, there was plenty to see and enjoy and try out. I'm really looking forward to next year and seeing what innovations are going to be there. I hope to see you there as well. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Click the little bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos.